Hello, and hopefully welcome back to the stream. Sorry, internet went down for a bit, and not just us. Alfie Bevan from the GT3 field also had their internet go down. So, yay for technical issues, but yeah, hopefully we are back up and running. While we've been away, I believe we have had a round of pit stops. Paul Kingsbury.
Speaking of
Paul Kingsbury having another, and we'll be taking an additional trip through pit lane. But we're heading towards the night. So yeah, apologies, we have missed a few things. It seems in the meantime, Tyler Hammer has also retired. So that's an additional point for Ollie Knowles. Who seems to have got back past all the GT3 cars for overall position, all that really matters. But yeah, 2 laps off the lead of this race. As we ride on board with our race leader, Ben Crook, who is quite a bit ahead of Dave Wood. But that gap is coming down. Dave Wood, new fastest lap of the race. Never mind, Charlie Morgan has beaten. Now, of course, we don't know what lap times were set in the 5 or 10 minutes, so the internet was down, unfortunately. But yeah, things are quite spread out. I also just realised I was saving the replays from the start of the race. Of course, Alfie Bevan and Dusa Carpenter both had moments at the start of the race that dropped them to back of the field. I was planning on getting round to them. Can't do that anymore. So, yeah, we're going to have something. Currently in the pits, Chris Downing. This is the point where, as pit stops go, I'd like to look at, right, who's had a shorter pit stop, who's had a longer time in the pits. What differences in VE? Well, we can't look at VE, so we can let us bring that up. And yeah, we can see a bit of a difference there between Ben Crook and Dave Wade, partially explaining the 12-second gap that has suddenly opened up. But we can't, we can't fade into. Has there been any tire changes? Really, it's hard to tell. So yeah, we just gotta hope that some cars find each other on track.
Yeah, it's pretty telling of the night when it's not even the cars on track that are having issues with traffic, but internet traffic turns out to be an issue that was unforeseen. But yeah, glad to be back. We'll catch the end of this race. I'm sure there'll be a few more incidents and whatnot up and down the field, as we have a 3-wheel minimum, possibly less, of that Porsche for Johnny Ashley in the pits. Currently getting the rest of the wheels on. Ooh, as we're going to have a replay and have a look. It looks like it was already gone at this point.
Yeah, it
I feel like...
Yeah, I'll bump that. That is the earliest contact I have for Johnny, so it seems like he lost that wheel just before I was able to rejoin. So he now sits down in 13th place. Christian Kiesig, I think. Did I read that right? Did it say Rob Appleton?
It did. Our Appleton got the fastest lap, but Kiesig is in the lead in GT3 currently.
Bring this side. I'm not sure.
One of those laps.
Yeah, I mean, it's the case when you've had to leave a session, rejoin. You lose a lot of data, and you don't pick up also a lot of data that happened while you were. So data accuracy kind of goes out the window. So yeah, we'll just have to see how things are. Unfortunately, of course, with the numerous incidents we've had up and down the field, many people just caught out in unfortunate situations. Innocent bystanders finding torpedoes and coming into their doors. It's been a difficult race and has unfortunately spread this race out but we should
It
hopefully...
looks like Ben Crook. It looks like Ben Crook is encountering some hypercar traffic, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at the track map there.
He is. Yes, that is Lamborghini in front of him. I believe that is Benji Beams, who hopefully won't make this too difficult for him. Let's just go on board. Ben here, signaling he wants to pass, pulling to the inside. A little bit defensive, you can maybe say, as Rob Appleton does definitely set a faster lap at this point. Ben will get the move done on the exit. And we'll get past the Lamborghini, who was maybe slightly bit defensive into the bus stop, but I don't think too much time was lost. There is still a nearly 12-second gap. There was a flash of the lights, not a from, I believe, Benji behind. But yeah, nearly a 12-second gap. I don't think Ben will be too worried about the time loss there. Yeah, hard to say. Someone who has found themselves in a really good position is Charlie Morgan, who I believe started this race in 10th position, if my timing screen is accurate. And
That sounds right.
It's now up to P3, up 7 places. Our biggest, one of our biggest gainers. We might have a couple. Our biggest gainer of the Hypercar class, should I say? Podium contention, and the pace hasn't been too bad. They're showing us having the fastest lap on my screen. Of course, don't know if there were any faster lap times set again while we weren't in the server, but. Has got into the 134s, so certainly showing some good pace. Again, whether they took a couple new tires at the pit stop or not, we don't know. We'll just bring up the tire thing to just see what people are on. Most of our Hypercar drivers on the softs, just Alex Wood that isn't, and Ollie Knowles as well. 9th place also on the mediums as they were in qualifying. Charlie Morgan finding out why it's not ideal to meet some traffic. Getting held up a bit there. This lap certainly isn't going to be another fastest lap, but I think with less than 15 minutes remaining in the race now and being in podium position after qualifying down in P10, I think they're just looking to bring this one home.
Yeah, and I think bringing it home might prove difficult depending on what else is in store in these next 14 minutes. The track temperature has dropped, I would say dramatically enough. It started at about 35 degrees and it's now sitting at about 24. So that's going to affect the grip levels and the kind of feel of the car, especially as the lights start to dim here at Daytona. But yeah, it's just a case of, you know, I think everyone is going to want these 40 minutes to just zip on by. Ooh, without incident, Charlie Morgan throwing caution to the wind. Is this going to be the podium? Ooh, I mean, that is as much contact as you want to have in that scenario, if not too much. Tarasenko not that far behind, able to see, perhaps witness the tail end of that incident. And I don't know if they're listening in on the stream or not, or if if that was just some bad mojo. But yeah, the lapse in concentration and you just run a little bit wide, catch a little bit of that grass, and then you just become a passenger. Just doesn't get.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen a few times.
I want to watch that back again, but go switch to the passenger here. See the steering wheel. Just doesn't quite seem to turn in enough. Maybe distracted. Maybe he is listening in and got distracted. Down to neutral there, heading towards the wall, getting ready to get the car into reverse. Just knowing, no, you know, you're on the grass. We've seen it plenty of times already this race. You're not slowing down on that grass. So the wall is your only hope of slowing down. Luckily, did scrub off a lot of speed before hitting the wall. I would imagine it is only front tire damage, front bumper damage, sorry, for Charlie Morgan. Should get away without suspension damage. I think we will see the steering wheel be relatively straight. Yeah, that looks very straight as he heads towards the kink. It turns in a little bit more this time, keeping the car on the road.
Those the lights, the brake lights on that Hyper up ahead almost looked like they were white for a second. I thought the car was coming towards us, but Charlie able to get past.
Ollie knows.
Max Tarasenko. Oh, go on.
That's Ollie knows in the Aston that Charlie was passing.
Max Tarasenko then 1 second behind, so definitely going to be keeping an eye on that gap, because like whatever about your alright pace, it's what happens when you're having issues, either self-inflicted. There's still a few traffic, just some traffic still like racing around, so anything can happen. Maybe laps and concentrations. Appleton getting another fastest lap in on the board, 46.1 in the GP3s. Gap isn't coming down too far between Kasich and Appleton though. Staying at about 11-12 seconds thereabouts. If you're looking to catch at about a second a lap, if not more, to make that move before the end. Although it's a bit below 11, so perhaps there's some pace there that will be used to mount an attack in the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, I'm gonna press a button. I've never pressed this button before, and so I'm not sure. Does this seem right? This looks. Yeah, this does look right. This is the championship as it stands. So as you can see, Ben Craig, Christian Kasich, both relating their respective classes. 38 points for victory. How much for second? Only 27. Yes, it's a big drop. 23 for third place. And you can see the rest of the points on either side. It's currently Rob Appleton taking fastest lap in the GT3 field. Charlie Morgan in the Hypercar field. That is worth 2 points. So yeah, that is how things stand. Obviously, with being the first round, it's as they are. So I'm glad that worked. Always nice to test things. The stream, it was scuffed enough already. Sam giving us a thumbs up in chat. Yes, Sam, who has made this wonderful app for us. He's done a lot of work over the last year plus at this point. And yeah, it's a wonderful app that allows us to bring streams as good quality as they are. And yeah, they're fantastic. Fantastic. They wouldn't be nearly as good as this without it. So big shout out to Sam. And the tool is available publicly. So it is. If you want to grab it for yourself, you can find it on the oNiD Racing Discord. We do have a channel that you can get updates for it. And you can also check out at lmubroadcasting.co.uk if you want to check out. It's got a lot of customization, a lot of features to tailor it to your preferences. Sam linking it in chat. Yeah, it is a very, very good tool, and I do highly recommend it. I'm not just saying that because Mitch uses it. I mean, I've given him a lot of feedback over the year or so that he's been working on it. I do genuinely think it is, yeah, very, very cool. But yes, for 8.5 minutes left. The gap is closing between Charlie Morgan and Max Tarasenko. Last lap, Tarasenko only gained was actually 10th slower on my timing screen here than Charlie Morgan, but I think he's gained a lot more than that. Look at the traffic in front, in the middle of the two GT3s for Charlie Morgan. The Porsche seems to lift out of the throttle to let Tarasenko through a little bit sooner. The time difference this lap, it was a slow lap for Charlie Morgan, lost nearly a second that lap, but Tarasenko's going to lose time here, is going to have to be patient through the little S's of turns 2 and 3. And I'll just give Charlie a little bit of respite, but Tarasenko seems to be on a bit of a charge here to try and challenge Charlie after that mistake that's seen them into the wall, just coming through this very left-hander a few laps ago.
The floodlights in full effect here at Daytona as well, so The light levels are starting to dip. A bit of a change in conditions, I suppose, for the drivers to, suddenly braking references might be a little bit trickier to spot, or things might look slightly different. Maybe there's some, as Sam says in chat, Nightona. Yeah, so that gap is kind of coming down. I was having a look at the battle for the lead in GT3, and it looks like Christian Kiesling is extending that gap now to 13 seconds. So a lot of heavy lifting left to be done for a change there. This battle looked like it could come down to the wire. 6 minutes, there's a fair few laps left. Anything can happen. I mean, given the rest of this race, anything can happen. So I'm not going to count any chickens until they've hatched.
Yeah, the biggest issue for Charlie is after a mistake like that, it's your confidence. Can you push as much as you were pushing without the fear of making another mistake? Typically when it comes to the hypercars in any of the prototypes in this game, a mistake like that usually comes from locking a brake. And that absolutely kills your confidence, because now you're scared of the brake pedal. You're worried that if you're just scared to press it as hard as you were used to be pressing it, and then maybe you get to the next lap, you don't press it as hard, you run deep into the corner, so you start braking earlier and start giving up time lap on lap for the rest of the race. For Charlie Morgan, thankfully it wasn't a braking issue, it was sort of just not turning in enough to left-hander. Quite a bit of time loss, but hopefully it hasn't dented his confidence too much. The damage though might be just taking a little bit of straight line speed from him with the aero damage. Obviously not ideal here, Daytona. Couple of long, not necessarily straights themselves, but flat out sections where you do get to quite a high top speed.
Dave Wood setting off a yellow flag very briefly there, 14 seconds up the road. Looks to be too serious. His pace doesn't seem to be too badly affected, so hopefully nothing too crazy. But yeah, we also saw there while on board with Max that Charlie almost ran into the, well, was able to get by the green Porsche of the GT3 that was getting lapped, so luckily there was no issues there. But that second horseshoe I feel like is like a bottleneck for incidents, because you've got that kink beforehand and then you've got the heavy braking zone to get turned in, and there's just a lot of variables there, especially with the runoff, with like the grass on the runoff there, just lethal for these hypers and cars that find themselves out of position.
Yeah, and let's actually go up to Charlie, finding a bit of traffic, a Lamborghini. That would be Benji Beams, currently saying P8. And then a BMW up the road, that's Alex J. Wood. So now I'm getting that traffic. Tarasenko also getting through. Charlie Morgan a little bit wide through the left-hander, leading on to the oval once again. Was quite a bit wide a couple of laps ago too. He even ran as wide as to being off the track. If you see a little flash of a yellow flag, that typically is an indication of someone's just gone over track limits off the track briefly, but hasn't had any major issues. Into the bus stop, Charlie Morgan having to follow the BMW. Not necessarily right up on the rear bumper or diffuser of it, but will have had a little bit of dirty yard to follow through as time continues to tick down. I believe it will be 3 laps to go at crossing of the line here, as Ben Crook quite a bit up the road. Should be able to get across the line 2 more times before time runs out. Late on the brakes for Tarasenko, trying to make the move on the inside of the McLaren GT3 into T1. Just about gets the car stopped. Did have to use a little bit of the runoff. But yeah, did not want to have to wait there in their chase for podium position here on Charlie Morgan.
I just can't get over how quickly the track has gotten so dark. It feels like it's only been about 5-10 minutes and it's gone from a lovely sunset to almost total darkness here, obviously with the floodlighting around the track to assist. But yeah, very different look and feel going to the closing embers of this race. like if this was me and I'm in Charlie's position, I am 100% bottling it and either taking myself out in turn 1 or something, or I'm locking too much on the brakes, or else I am praying for like the finish line to, like, can we have 2 times like time progression, just anything to get to the end of that race. So I'll be curious to see if Charlie's able to hold on, keep up.
Big stab of oversteer there. And here's the move. It's going to be much easier than I think Tarasenko expected. Both of them pushing through the chicane. A lot of curb taken on the entry for the Cadillac driver. And now it's the Cadillac driver that's staying in front after Charlie Morgan. Big wobble. Lucky to keep it in a straight line. These cars are not forgiving. Usually those moments end up in the wall.
There is a non-zero chance that many of these drivers had the stream on initially, so could only hear our voices. Then the stream went quiet as the stream went down, and then has come back on again on these computers wherever these people are watching. And so maybe Charlie has just suffered through me explaining how hard it is to maintain that position, and has perhaps succumbed to a commentator's curse. Christian Kesey going fastest for 1:46.119, taking out Rob Appleton's time by just a few hundredths of a second.
Yeah, a few hundredths of a second indeed. 35 thousandths to be exact. And remember, that's worth 2 championship points. So despite the battle on track not being that close between Appleton and Kesey, there are 12.5 seconds between the two of them. There is a battle for that fastest lap, so that's something just to keep an eye on through the final couple of laps. Ben Crook has just gone into T1 for the final time in this race with over a near 15-second lead at this point. I think Dave, we did have a slow lap or 2. Just reading in our Discord, Jeff Pike saying they're still stuck on the motorway after I think it was a truck caught fire, they said. That is why they've not been able to start. Very unfortunate for them. That life has just thrown a real unfortunate. Charlie Morgan, couple of wheels on the grass on the inside of T1 there. You've seen the car get a little sideways. He's pushing, maybe pushing a little too hard. He doesn't want to give up. It's a slim chance, but ever slim. He does not want to give this up. And Frank Vevik saying that he had a screen freeze while he was coming into pit lane, missed his pit box, and then got a penalty for being in the driving through the working lane of the pit lane. Of course, with the update, there's new penalties if you drive through other people's pit boxes, and that little issue and mistake as he was missing one of his wheels, unfortunately leading to that second penalty that's seen him get disqualified. But back to the front of the field. That car's looking a little bit wobbly. It's going to be Spike, but not in the usual way. We're used to seeing Spike win races. The Porsche 963, driven by Ben Crook, will cross the line and take victory here for the first round of the oNiD X TSRC. TXC? I can't remember.
TSRC?
Yes, TSRC. Thank you, Paul. Multiclass series. It's been a long race with all these issues. Ben Crook takes the win. Dave Wood has come through for second place. Max Tarasenko will take the final podium position after a couple of mistakes from Charlie Morgan towards the end of the race. Would see them finish further back. Going on to the oval now, it is Christian Kasig, who didn't lead the entire way, was being challenged by Rob Appleton. He was using quite a bit of extra virtual energy to challenge for the lead, but eventually Appleton, also at this point I can't remember if it was a mistake or a bit of wrong place, wrong time with some of the Hypercar incidents we've seen. Dropped back a few positions. I think it was wide at T1 if I remember correctly. Dropped back to P4, allowing Christian Kasig to be uncontested for the win. They've been fighting each other ever since, though, for the fastest lap of the race. As things stand, it is by 35 thousandths of a second. Christian Kasig takes the victory and the fastest lap. But Does Rob Appleton have anything to respond with on this final lap? Has traffic been kind enough? Are the tyres in good enough condition? Comes across the line. It is not a fastest lap, so Rob Appleton will have to settle for second. Kiesig picking up maximum points. Is Matt Townsend finishing, rounding off our podium in the GT3 field, as I believe that is nearly all. Just one car to go, and it's Ollie Knowles, who is driving around rather slowly, it must be said.
I mean, this might as well be a victory lap for Ollie, because to get points on the board after the incidents that they were involved in, often through no fault of their own, able to bring the car back around, and I suppose does the thing that we would advise in the driver briefings and whatnot. Like, if you get involved in an incident, you can't make it to the pits, get back out on track, and in this case, I mean, there's, what is it, like 5-6 points for ninth place. That could be the difference later on towards the end of the season. So that is a victory in and of itself to make it through what has been a fairly grueling round one of this series. Is this a sign of things to come, or is this like a blip in the radar, like some people's internet this evening? Find out.
Let's go through the finishing results then. It's Ben Crook that takes victory in the Hypercar class today, avoid Max Tarsenko, the final podium place, after a couple of mistakes towards the end from Charlie Morgan. Still a great race, qualifying P10, finishing P4. Pelko finishes in P5, have Elliot Lewis in 6th place, Alex J. Wood 7th, Benji Beams P8, Ollie Knowles dragging the car to the finish after a difficult race will pick up 3 points for 9th place. Our non-finishers... Sorry, go ahead.
Just before you go in there, Ollie in the chat says he was stuck in first gear for the last 3 laps.
We noticed that. We noticed that on the onboard. I didn't mention it, but I noticed first gear only. The previous lap was over 3 minutes. Yes. Yeah. But well done on finishing, Ollie, dragging the car through. You have got some points for your effort. Unlike Tyler Hammer, Daniel Johansson, Peter Jelinek, Myers and Britt, who were not able to finish the race. Some of them, unfortunate, wrong place, wrong time. Some of them making key errors this race. But yeah, and of course Jeff Pike, who never made it home, unfortunately, for them. Paul, take us away with the GT3 class.
Yeah, so Christian Kiesig taking an astounding victory in the Porsche. Rob Appleton wasn't able to mount the attack as we'd hoped, but takes P2 in the Lexus, with Matt Townsend in P3, finishing off the podium. Chris Downing takes P4 in the other Ferrari. Ben Brown finishing in P5. Fukufaro in P6 in the BMW, followed by Connor Dickman in P7. Dusa Carpenter finishes P8 in the end in the Aston, with Paul Kingsbury in the McLaren in P9. Christopher Bell finishes in P10, with Matthias Fuskin finishing P11. Christian Schlink then finished in P12, with Johnny Ashley rounding out the finishers in P13. And we did lose Alfie Bevan, Atul Bashkar, and Frank Vivek earlier on in the race due to, we'll say, issues of all kinds. But yeah, great showing from, I suppose, the 2 classes as well. Then just to finish off the first round of what could be a very interesting season, hopefully. Do you think, Scotty, that we have more in store in terms of troublesome traffic and whatnot? I mean, we do have Silverstone next week, so you'd hope that with all that glorious track width, that there'd be plenty of space to go racing. But I feel like we might be in store for a few more kind of coming together.
We'll talk about that in a moment. It was Basker with crash damage, Elfie Bevan with internet issues, and Frank Vivek half crash damage, half penalties in pit lane, getting the better of him. But before we do start talking about next week, we are going to bring in one of our drivers from this evening to explain the difficulties that was that chaotic Daytona race. Dave, a second place finish. How was that race? Because a lot happened.
my tyres absolutely fell off a cliff after the pit stop. Um, I had a coming together with Tyler trying to go around the outside of me, even though I told him my tyres were cold, but it's on me
Oh,
because I was the one who went into him. But yeah, I was talking to Ben Crook as well on inbox, and he said the same. The Porsche's tyres just fell off a cliff. The guy who me and Crook were battling, was it? I can't remember
Myers.
his Myers. That was an interesting way to exit the race, let's just say. And yeah, shame about Johansson as well. Nothing malicious, it was just a blind spot, I guess. But I don't need to go to the gym tomorrow after that.
Uh,
Bit of a workout.
yeah, good workout. I mean, just how difficult is Daytona in one of these hypercars? You mentioned about tire temperatures, with there being no high speed corners, some long straights. I suppose the tires do get quite cool, especially as we ran into the night, even with the softer compound that most of you were running.
Yeah, so as the track temp dropped, they were holding the temperature okay, but the second you went into the pits and stopped, I put too much fuel in as well, which doesn't surprise me. But once you lost the temperature, you couldn't get it back. Not in the Porsche, at least. Anyhow, I don't know about the other cars, but there was just zero confidence in putting your foot down because it just felt you were going to spin out at any moment.
Yeah,
it's
and
it's curious you bring up that confidence on the gas pedal, because Scotty was mentioning how the confidence might be shaken by over or perhaps heavy use of the brake pedal for I think we were saying Charlie Morgan at the time, who ended up dropping back to P4 just before the end. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, so as I always say, braking is not a problem for me. It's the other pedal, which is usually the problem. The first half of the race, it felt fine as you come through the chicane. Anyone who knows Daytona, once you get past the second part of it, you put your foot down through the final part. After the pit, you couldn't. You were having to baby the throttle, and you just didn't dare get on anywhere near full throttle until you were straight. It's weird because looking at the tyre usage, it was a very rear heavy track, so the fronts were barely being used, but the rears were a mess.
it kind of reminds me a bit of the GTE social race we did a little while ago at Portimao, with 3 times tire wear, when middle of the day, temperatures nice and warm, everything was fine, and then as soon as night fell, everything, strategies went out the window, tire wear was awful, and it was a real challenge there. I suppose we've seen a little bit of that in today's race, where the cold conditions and as again with the track layout just not giving a lot of energy to the tires, it became that bit more difficult and challenging on the tires.
Yeah, it was. If we didn't have to pit, it would have been fine because the tyres would have kept the heat in them. But the second we stopped and the cooled down, it was, as you said earlier, I know the bank and the high speed corners technically, but you're not really getting heat in the tyres there.
There's still kind of a straight in a way, you
Yeah,
know.
it's a straight, just a bit bent. But the infield is all low speed hairpins. I think that's where the rear tyre wear come from, with the rear wheels spinning out of the
Mm.
tight corners.
Yeah, those traction zones.
Um, yeah, what wasn't fun towards the end. I was just trying to keep at least a 10-second gap to the person behind in case I get reported for my incident with Tyler. So that was all I was concerned about.
And then Charlie helped you with that, with a little visit to the wall. This is our
He's
first.
blaming Johnny for that. Johnny put him off.
um, this was obviously our first race at Daytona. Would you like to come back to Daytona, or are you dreading the next time we find ourselves here?
Well, I'm excited because obviously on iRacing this week it's IMSA Daytona all week, so I love Daytona as a track. It's good fun. I look forward to coming back. Just hopefully not get as dark, not get as cold.
And speaking of tracks, we've got the calendar on screen. Silverstone next week. How do you feel about Silverstone and the tracks on the rest of the calendar?
Silverstone, I'm happy. As you know, when we had the social race there, Scotty, my pace was quite decent there until an unfortunate incident. So Silverstone, I'm happy with. I know we've got Laguna. I've done that in a GT3, but in a hypercar, I think that will be quite hectic. So hypercars and GT3s on that small track is going to be fun. I don't know what else is after that.
We've got Imola, Sebring, and Portimao for the second half of the season.
Yeah, I'll be giving Sebring a miss because it doesn't like me. I will. I'll end up in the comms box that night. Let's just say that. The rest though are fine. I'll be good with that. Be interesting just see if we can chase Ben Crook down. He's the man to catch.
Yeah, well, look forward to seeing you in the commentary box then for Sebring. We'll get that penciled in nice and early. But thank you very much for joining us, Dave. Well done on your P2 through that race of survival, pretty much with how hectic it was. And yeah, hopefully Silverstone will be kinder to you than it was last week. Again, thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the stream.
We tried. Internet did not agree with us this week.
I heard there was some issues.
But yeah, thank you very much, Dave.
No,
We'll let you
thank you very much.
get going.
Thank you.
And yeah, as we talked about, Silverstone next week. You mentioned, Paul, a lot more open. Certainly nowhere near as chaotic. It started a bit chaotic last week in our social, but certainly calmed down a bit during the race. So yeah, much a smoother track as well. It's not quite as bumpy. We've seen a couple of drivers struggle with the bumps into the second horseshoe this week, so hopefully it is an easier one. And with the practice from last week, the driver's a bit more familiar with it. We can have a bit of a cleaner, bit of a tidier race for our second round.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, as if to throw caution to the wind, we have round 3 at Laguna Seca. So I feel like that's going to be, I mean, on the best of days, it's going to be fairly tricky. I think that's going to be the most demanding one. I think Imola as well, but I think Imola folks will be a bit more familiar with from racing the sim, and maybe just able to. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to count those chickens just yet because I feel like they're all going to throw their own challenges. And even Sebring, as Dave was mentioning, going to be perhaps tricky for some drivers. I mean, you're talking about bumps unsettling the hypercars and whatnot. I feel like Sebring is just bumps and just bumps and turns. Maybe Portimao is the one that'll kind of like settle us off, and we'll kind of ride out into the night into what is a fairly, dare I say, like easy track to drive, especially with the two classes, you would hope.
It's quite technical. You've got quite a few crests in the braking zones, makes it very easy to lock up in the hypercars.
True.
So
turn 1 with a slow car on the inside, no doubt going to be tricky to maneuver.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be an easy way to finish the season, but maybe not quite as difficult as Laguna Seca, where you could say the hypercars are caged beasts with just how technical that track is and how little room there is for them to stretch their legs. But that's the calendar that we have coming up over the next 5 remaining weeks of the season. But of course, we have other races between now and next week. Tomorrow, we head on to Assetto Corsa for the Racing Stronger Formula Club Series. We're racing the Racing Sim Studios Formula 4 car, and we are starting at Interlagos, a very familiar track. We'll have a 20-minute sprint race, and then a one-shot qualifying session will set a grid for a 40-minute feature race with best strategy in play. Will we see drivers change tyres or not? Even as the person who set up the series, I have no idea. So that should be quite an interesting one. On Wednesday, we're back on the Mon Ultimate for the ELMS GT3 Cup. I believe that is just a straight 60-minute shootout. I should have checked what the opening race is for that. But I should say tomorrow we will have Ben and Paul, you're joining us again tomorrow, very kindly stepping in for Jarrett.
I am indeed a familiar voice to carry you through these tumultuous waters as the opening round of Season 5 on the oNiD schedule here in 2026. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing those Formula 4s. It's actually been really cool to see all the liveries that folks have been making on the livery showroom on the Discord. So it's going to be cool to see them on the track in Interlagos for a few. I'm guessing there's going to be a whole lot of fun in those races as well. And then on Thursday we have the AC Evo Mazda Cup, which has had a lot of people really excited to get their teeth sunk into that one. Unfortunately, that one won't be streamed as well as the Sunday, the LMU Sprint Series, the LMP3 Championship. Those LMP3s on LMU, such a fun car to drive. So like, for being like the slowest class of we'll say like the LMPs, they're so tricky, and just like you can push them just enough, and it's I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun on that one. Massive grids as well. It's been great to see all the numbers kind of rolling in. The signups for the oNiD leagues continue to amaze me. Just to you blink and you'll miss them. Of course, with the Patreon subscriptions, that you get some early access for those signups. But yeah, always good to see a nice grid for these races.
Yeah, we should say signups are still open for all the other series you see in front of us. You want to join us tomorrow in South Corsa? Sign up now. We have a few spots left. And yeah, there's still a few spots for all of our series. Whether you want to throw around some single-seater Formula 4s, some Mazda Cup cars on AC Evo, GT3s again here on LMU Barcelona this week for opening round on Wednesday, where Sam will be joined by Tom Tosland, who's stepped over to our Wednesday series. They should make a good pair for the GT3 racing, which always delivers. And yeah, the LMP3s, as I say, great fun, a bit more like a go-kart for the prototypes. They'll easier, they'll not as quite quick as the higher prototypes. Maybe a little bit easier, but still, as mentioned, difficult cars in their own right to drive. Should make it for some very interesting series. So if you want to sign up to them, there's still spaces before the first rounds this week. Otherwise, if you're thinking about next season, yes, join the Patreon. It gets you early access sign up, guarantees that you can sign up in the class that you want rather than having to wait and maybe potentially missing out. It also helps support us here at oNiD with running all of these servers across the 3 different sims that we do so. So once again, thank you very much, Paul, for joining me today. We'll see you back again tomorrow for hopefully some exciting single-seater racing at Interlagos. And yeah, that is when we'll next be back. I will be back on stream next Monday as we return for round 2 at Silverstone. Any final words before we leave, Paul?
Yeah, looking forward to seeing which of these opening races ends up being like the most hectic. I mean, I think we set the bar pretty high this evening. Lots of really great racing. I really loved the battle for P8 early on in the in the hypercars. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Indeed. Until then, have a good rest of your evening, everyone. Have a good rest of your week from myself. We'll see you next time. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.